Alright, okay, I'm back again after my computer died and my microphone disconnected, and apparently the world exploded or something. I also found this an Osage orange right outside of my house. It's freaking weird. Kind of looks like a brain. I'm keeping it because it's Halloween and it looks weird. Okay, so I was talking about arpeggios, right? So arpeggios tend to have a pull off note to begin with. So this is why you should learn scales. Here's what I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to explain how arpeggios get built off of scales, at least in theory, a little bit, kind of intuitively. So here's a scale. All right, so you can see that this is part of the scale. A lot of times, in terms of arpeggios, you don't really want to do pull offs like this to initiate one. A lot of times, you want at least three or five or four spaces between. Now we go like this. Now we look at the rest of the scale. We have this part in the scale that goes. It's kind of like half steps, right? So these both sound good. They're half step apart. We can translate that half step into an arpeggio, two different arpeggio patterns. Here's what I mean. Okay, when you're switching between arpeggio patterns, I recommend changing your fingering instead of going like this. The reason is if you change the fingering, you build up in your brain your procedural memory, your memory of how to do stuff, a different pattern, a different actual pattern. And it helps to solidify the fact that you're playing two different arpeggio patterns, the fingering's different, it helps you play both smoother and transition between them smoother because you initiate the different fingering pattern, and the different pattern of notes kind of is a result of it. You build up associations. Your brain works off of associations. It's good to use little cues in your guitar playing to help your brain know where you're at. That way you can transition between different ways of playing really easily. So if you're going to have an arpeggio progression, I recommend practicing the parts a bunch. And you should practice slow at first and build up and get faster. You should keep going until you start making mistakes and then slow down. You don't want to be practicing mistakes. You want to be practicing the correct patterns, the correct plucking, because that is how practice helps you go faster. It builds up in your brain the different movements you have to make. You want to be practicing the right stuff. Otherwise, you're just learning mistakes, and that honestly can hold you back in guitar playing. So I recommend practicing the different parts and then practicing transitioning. Go slow, build up, and honestly take breaks. You can't be afraid to make mistakes and to experiment. And honestly, not all types of music use the scales that we do. You can break the scales, you can break the rules. It's honestly what sounds good to you is what you should do and pursue and figure out how you want to sound when you play the guitar. But here is an arpeggio pattern that I came up with a long while ago. It's been a while since I honestly played this stuff, so I'm a little out of practice. If you're gonna like solo something, it's good to practice quite a bit slowly beforehand. That way your brain just knows what to do. You don't have to overthink it. It makes performing a lot more fun, like way more fun, if you're not anxious about what you have to do, knowing the different patterns. It just makes it instinctual. Honestly, it's better at first to practice the different patterns, the plucking, and then work on rhythm later. Sometimes it could be an overload to your brain to practice the fingering, the different patterns, the different picking techniques, whether it's slide picking, alternate picking, tremolo picking, and getting it all in time. That is just way too much, girl, to like understand. And honestly, it's okay to take your time with it, break it down. So one pattern, and then a second pattern. Now we change up the fingering, we practice going between the two. And so you see where I start fumbling, I slow down, I practice. The goal should be to stay in that zone where it can be a little difficult, but you're also getting it correct. You will get faster. Playing slow really means a lot. It helps you build up good technique, good finger positioning, good placement on the string, and you get cleaner sounds if you have good technique. Now, you should learn a scale, like a single scale that goes up and down the guitar, learn all the different spots, and you should learn it backwards and forwards. Here's what I mean by backwards and forwards. Here is forwards. Here's backwards. You want to learn it till you just know the notes. You know, if I am right on this string, that those are the two notes. Once you know that, you can start playing stuff like rhythm guitar. Rhythm guitar really focuses on palm muting, and usually on one string, sometimes on two. Sometimes you might palm mute between two different notes. You might go like, sometimes three, but then a lot of the times you might palm mute and then play a clean note on a different string on the same scale. And then how you transition from rhythm guitar into soloing is soloing usually uses stuff like triplets, 3 notes. Or it can even use like 4 notes, like so. The goal is, it's really the different combinations of rhythm and note playing and alternating between different notes, whether you're going up or down and down, or playing the same 3, 4, 5 notes. That is really the difference between rhythm guitar and soloing. The thing is, honestly, for soloing, for composing stuff, let the scale do the work. Memorize the scale and then just play around with the scale. Make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. Sometimes the best riffs are discovered when you make a mistake. Sometimes the best riffs add in stuff that isn't necessarily part of the scale. You can break the rules. Like I said, so many different types of music in the world do not even obey the same patterns that we use in the West. They're just guidelines to help you figure out how to coordinate with different instruments, how to sound good with different vocalists. It makes it predictable. Patterns make things predictable. People like a certain amount of predictability, but don't be afraid to like surprise people. So basically with this channel, I want to do things like teach people scales, practice with people doing scales and like different ways you can go from playing scales to jamming, different ideas on how to like practice different fingering techniques. I can do a video on sweep picking. That's the arpeggio thing where you're like stuff like that. It's a lot easier than you think. It's just, again, it's repetition, practice, going slow, building up, and you can get faster and faster and faster, stuff like that. I recommend also for stuff like sweep picking, get a 0.38 millimeter guitar pick. People will think you're insane. You cannot see it because it's white. It's 0.38 millimeters. People at the guitar shop will look at you like you're nuts. It's like thin as paper, but it offers little resistance on the string. You can go really fast, and in my opinion, in talking to a lot of people, it is the best option for playing sweep guitar, like sweeping through notes, going like it sounds so smooth, it sounds really pretty. But I can even do things like videos where I play rhythm guitar on a scale. I tell you what scale, and you can jam along. I can give you tips, pointers. We can do a lot with this channel. Really, it's just going to be whatever people are interested in. I like playing guitar. I want to help people unlock that ability to go from just memorizing other people's stuff to really unlocking their own guitar style, playing guitar and composing, making their own solos. It's so much fun. Honestly, if you can make your own guitar stuff, you're like one step away from being able to make your own music. You just have to learn how to like sing or scream or find someone who knows how to do that. And then make some percussion. Like honestly, I want to help people unlock their inner guitar guru, whatever it's called. I want to help people unlock it. And you know, leave comments. Hope you liked it. If you didn't, I guess that's a thing. So whatever. Again, so, have a good day. And I hope this helped in some way, if only for entertainment. The biggest thing, don't be afraid to make mistakes, mess up when you're jamming, practicing. It is all part of the method. It's part of learning. It's part of figuring stuff out. You gotta make mistakes. You gotta suck if you want to be decent at guitar at some point, or if you want something to sound good. It's not about perfection off the bat. Getting that studio recording, that's for the studio. When you're playing guitar, you should be having fun, expanding your abilities, which means making mistakes. I want to be a channel that has like, hey, look at her. She's making a crud load of mistakes. Like, it's cool. It's okay. We gotta normalize mistakes if you want to get better. Again, have a great day. Peace out.